My friends, there is a question that sooner or later knocks upon the door of every human consciousness. It is a question that often comes in the quiet hours, perhaps in the early morning before the world has begun to stir, or in the stillness of the evening when the day's activities have faded into silence. It is a question that is rarely spoken aloud, for the human mind is often ashamed of it. Yet it is a question that presses heavily upon the heart of those who have watched the years roll by like a mighty river. That question is simply this: why am I still here? You look back upon the road you have traveled, and it seems so long. You see the landmarks of your youth, the valleys of your struggles, the mountains of your triumphs, and they all seem to belong to another person, to another lifetime. You feel that you have lived your story. You feel that you have fought your battles. You feel that the world has changed so drastically, spinning on an axis that you no longer recognize, filled with noise and haste and technologies that seem to speak a language you do not know. And in the midst of this, you find yourself still standing, still breathing, still waking up to see the sun rise. And the temptation comes. It is a subtle, whispering temptation from the race mind, to believe that your presence here is a mistake. You may feel like a guest who has stayed too long at the party, like an actor who is still on stage after the curtain has fallen. You may feel a profound, weary sigh within your soul, a sense that life has taken from you more than it is currently giving, and you wonder if perhaps you have been forgotten by the universe. You wonder if you are merely existing by the force of inertia, waiting for the final release. If you have ever felt this, if you have ever let that sigh escape your lips, I want you to listen to me now with the ears of your spirit. I want you to put aside the reasoning of the intellect, which judges by appearances, and open your mind to the great spiritual truth that I am about to lay before you. We must begin with a fundamental axiom of metaphysics. God makes no mistakes. There is no such thing as an accident in the divine mind. There is no such thing as chance in the operation of the cosmos. We are living in a universe of law and order. The stars do not keep their courses by luck. The tides do not turn by happenstance. The sun does not rise by a roll of the dice. Behind every manifestation of life, there is a principle at work. We call this God, or divine mind, or spirit. And this principle is characterized by absolute intelligence and absolute precision. Now consider the law of economy. In the physical universe, scientists tell us that energy is never lost, it is only transformed. Nature wastes nothing. If a leaf falls from a tree, it decomposes and nourishes the soil to feed the roots. If a drop of water evaporates, it becomes part of the cloud that brings the rain. If nature, which is merely the outer garment of God, is so economical that it wastes not a single atom, do you suppose for one moment that the Creator would waste something as precious, as complex, and as magnificent as a human life? Do you suppose that the infinite intelligence that governs the galaxies would keep you here, breathing, thinking, and feeling, if there were not a vital necessity for your being here? To believe that you are here by accident, or that you are merely left over, is to deny the very nature of God. It is a form of atheism, though you may not call it that. It is a belief in a chaotic universe where things happen without cause or purpose. But we know, as students of truth, that this is not so. If you are alive today, it is because the life of God is seeking expression through you. You are not a physical body that happens to have a soul. You are a spiritual being who has taken on a physical body for a specific purpose. That purpose does not expire like a driver's license. It does not have a whose by date like a carton of milk, as long as the breath of life is in you. Your assignment is active. It is a spiritual law that supply always equals demand. If there is a supply of life in your body, it is because there is a demand for your consciousness in this world. You are here because the orchestra of humanity cannot play its symphony without your specific note. You may think your note is small. You may think it is no longer heard above the crashing drums of the younger generation, but the conductor, God, hears it. And if you were to cease playing before the score is finished, the harmony of the whole would be incomplete. You are here by divine appointment. Now, let us address the pain that comes from feeling out of step with the world. You look around and you see a society that is obsessed with speed. Everyone is running. Everyone is shouting. The screens are flickering. The news is alarming. And the values you held dear seem to be trampled under the feet of progress. You feel isolated. You feel that this is no longer your world. But this feeling is based on an illusion. It is based on the belief that the world, is merely the external collection of events, politics, and inventions. That is not the real world. That is the passing show. That is what the Bible calls the temporal, which is subject to change and decay. The real world is the world of thought, of spirit, of consciousness. And in that world the laws never change. Love is still love. Truth is still truth. Courage, kindness, faith, and wisdom. These are the eternal currencies of the universe, and they have not devalued one iota since the beginning of time. The world may have changed its clothes, but the heart of humanity beats the same as it did 1,000 years ago. People are still frightened, they still crave love, they still seek meaning, they still fear death. And because you have lived through the changes, because you have seen the fashions come and go, you are in a position to anchor yourself in the eternal. When you feel that you have been left on the margins, it is not because you are useless. It is because you are being called to a higher station. You are being called to step out of the frantic traffic of the material plane and step onto the high ground of spiritual observation. In the ancient scriptures, there is often talk of a remnant, a group of people who remain faithful, who hold the light when the rest of the world is in darkness. You are part of that spiritual remnant. You see, society worships action. It worships the doing. It rewards the man who builds the tallest tower, the woman who runs the fastest mile, the entrepreneur who makes the most money. And because you may no longer be building towers or running miles, the mortal mind says, you are finished. But God does not look at the outer motion. God looks at the inner motive. God looks at the quality of the consciousness. There is a metaphysical function that is absolutely critical to the balance of the world, and it is a function that usually can only be performed by those who have lived long enough to acquire wisdom. That function is air stabilization. Think of a great ship in a storm. There are sailors running up and down the decks, pulling ropes, shouting orders, fighting the wind. They are the young, the active, the doers. But deep in the hull of the ship, or standing quietly at the helm, there must be ballast. There must be weight. There must be a steadying force that prevents the ship from capsizing. You are the ballast. You are the steadying force. Your presence, your memories, your survival, your very existence provides a spiritual weight that balances the frenetic energy of the youth. You do not need to be running up and down the ropes to be essential to the ship. If you were not there, the ship would be too light. It would be tossed about by every wind of doctrine, as St. Paul says. We must understand that thought is the most powerful force in the universe. We have been trained to believe that power is physical, that it is steam or electricity or muscle, but all these things are merely effects. The cause is mind. A person who sits quietly in a chair, unable to walk, but who holds a heart full of love and faith, is generating a spiritual power that can save a city. This is not a metaphor. This is scientific Christianity. You may think, but I do nothing. I sit at home. I watch the days go by. But what are you doing with your mind? What is the atmosphere of your soul? If you are here, it is because there is intercessory work for you to do, not necessarily reciting formal prayers, but the prayer of your presency. When you look at your grandchildren, or your neighbors, or even the people on the television news, and you silently declare the truth for them, when you silently wish them peace, when you silently forgive their errors, when you silently envelope them in the white light of protection, you are doing a work that the frantic doers cannot do because they are too distracted. You are the watchman on the wall. In the Bible, the watchman did not fight the battle. He stood on the tower and watched. He kept the vision. He stayed awake while others slept. You are here to stay awake to the truth. You are here to witness the goodness of God in the land of the living. We have a concept in our modern world called retirement. It is a useful economic concept, perhaps, but it is a spiritually dangerous one if we apply it to our souls. You can retire from a job. You can retire from a career. You can retire from the daily commute. But you cannot retire from life. You cannot retire from God. To believe that your real work is over because you no longer receive a paycheck is a form of idolatry. It is worshiping mammon. It is saying that your value was determined by the marketplace, but your value was established before the foundations of the world. You are a focal point of divine consciousness. God is looking through your eyes. God is feeling through your heart. God is understanding the human experience through your unique history. There is a specific flavor of wisdom that only distills after many decades. It is like a rare wine. It cannot be rushed. A young person can be intelligent. A young person can be brilliant, but a young person cannot be wisey in the way you are wise, because wisdom is the byproduct of time interacting with experience. You have seen the cycles. You know that winter always gives way to spring. You know that the darkest night always ends in dawn. You know that the things we worry about today will be forgotten tomorrow. You possess the perspective of the long view, and the world is starving for that perspective. Let us go deeper into the metaphysics of why you are still physically here. Your body is the temple of the living God. It is an instrument. If the instrument is still functioning, even if it is functioning differently than it did at 20, it is because the musician, the spirit, still has a song to play through it. There are souls who come to this earth for a brief time. They do their work and they depart. There are others who are assigned the long watch. They are asked to remain. They are asked to witness the changing of the guard. They are asked to be the bridge between the past and the future. You are a bridge. You connect the history that was with the future that is coming. If you were not here, that link would be broken. A civilization that loses its connection to its history, to its elders, is a civilization that has lost its soul. You are the keeper of the memory. You are the living library of lessons learned. And do not think that you must write a book or give a lecture to fulfill this function. The vibration of your being does the work. You may feel invisible. You walk down the street and people look right through you. But in the spiritual realm, you are incandescent. There is a law of unconscious influence. We are always radiating the quality of our consciousness, just as a heater radiates heat or a rose radiates scent. You do not have to try to influence people. You influence them by what you are. There are people in your life, perhaps people you barely know, who are subconsciously sustained by your presence. They may look at you and see resilience. They see someone who has buried loved ones and kept going. They see someone who has faced financial ruin or illness and kept going. They see someone who has been disappointed by life and yet still manages to smile at a child or feed a stray cat. And that sight, that simple evidence of your survival, plants a seed of hope in their subconscious minds. They think, the human spirit is tougher than I thought. If he can do it, if she can do it, then I can make it through my divorce. I can make it through my bankruptcy. You are a living testimony. A testimony is not words, it is evidence. You are the evidence of God's sustaining power. Now, why do we feel this weariness? Why do we feel this lack of purpose? It is usually because we are breaking the commandment of Lot's wife Dash. We are looking back. We are looking back at the good old days. We are looking back at who we used to be. We are comparing our current reality with a memory, and usually a memory that we have polished and idealized until it shines far brighter than the reality ever did. When you look back, you turn into a pillar of salt. Salt is a preservative. It keeps things dead, it prevents flow. When you live in the past, you crystallize, you become brittle, you lose your fluidity. The divine appointment is always in the present tense. God's name is I am, not IVS. The reason you feel a disconnect is that you are trying to live in a time that no longer exists. But your spirit is here, now, in this moment. The manna, the spiritual nourishment, is given only for this day. You cannot eat yesterday's manna. It is stale. You must realize that if you are here today, then today holds your blessing. Today holds your purpose. Not the you of 1990, but the you of today. The you with the gray hair, the you with the slower step, the you with the reading glasses. This version of you is the one God is using now. Finally, we must understand that this time of your life is not merely a waiting room for death. That is the morbid view of the materialist. In the true view, this time is a period of great preparation. It is a time of refining. When the active duties of raising families and building careers subside, the soul is given a precious gift, the gift of time for contemplation. For decades, you were too busy to truly know yourself. You were too busy to truly know God. You were running the race. Now, the pace has slowed so that the depth may increase. You are being invited into the inner sanctuary. You are being given the chance to clean the windows of your soul so that the light may shine through clearly. You are being given the chance to make peace with your own existence. This is not the end of the book. This is the climax. This is the chapter where all the loose ends are tied together, where the meaning of the earlier chapters becomes clear. So, when you wake up in the morning and that question comes, why am I still here? Answer it boldly. Answer it with the truth of being. Say to yourself, 5. I am here because the Master of the universe has need of me. I am here because I am a focal point of God's life. I am here to witness the truth, to radiate peace, and to prove that the Spirit is timeless. I am not a relic of the past. I am a vital, living, breathing instrument of the divine now. My friends, do not despise the day of small things. Do not despise the autumn of your year. The autumn is the time of the harvest. It is the time when the fruit is sweet and ripe. The world needs your fruit. The world needs your sweetness. You are not done. In the mind of God, you have only just begun. The tapestry is not finished, and you are the golden thread that holds this section together. Do not pull yourself out by doubt or self-pity. Stay in the loom. Let the master weaver finish the work. We have established that your presence here is a divine necessity. Now, we must look at the tools you possess. We must look at the specific spiritual equipment that you have acquired over the years, which makes you more powerful now than you were in the height of your physical youth. To do this, we must first break a spell. There is a form of mass hypnotism that operates in the world today. We call it the race mind, or the collective consciousness. This race mind is obsessed with the physical, the temporary, and the external. It worships the bloom of youth because it operates only on the surface of life. It believes that power resides in physical agility, in smooth skin, and in the ability to run fast. Because you are immersed in this mental atmosphere, you have likely accepted, subconsciously, the suggestion that you are declining. You have accepted the verdict of the calendar. You have allowed the world to convince you that your value is like a currency that depreciates with time. But as students of truth, we know that this is a lie. It is what we call error. It has no reality in the mind of God. In spirit, there is no time. There is only the eternal now. God does not grow old. Life does not grow old. Life simply is. And because you are an expression of that one life, the core of your being, the I am within you, is as young, as vibrant, and as perfect today as it was when you were a babe in arms. The first step in your new realization is to stand guard at the door of your mind and refuse to admit these negative suggestions. When the world says, "You are past your prime," you must mentally reply, "My prime is the point where I am nearest to God, and I am nearer now than ever before." You must refuse to be hypnotized by appearances. You must judge not according to the flesh, but according to the Spirit. Consider this: the world is full of knowledge. We have more information today than at any point in history. A young person today can access the sum of human knowledge with a few taps on a screen. They have speed. They have data. They have the facts. But knowledge is not wisdom. Knowledge is of the head. Wisdom is of the soul. Knowledge is knowing that fire is hot. Wisdom is knowing how to cook the meal without burning the house down. Knowledge is knowing the definition of love. Wisdom is knowing how to forgive. You, my friend, have graduated into the school of wisdom. This is a university that no young person can enter, for the tuition is paid only in the currency of experience. You have paid that tuition. You have lived through the dark nights. You have walked through the valleys. You have seen the empires of your own life rise and fall. This gives you a spiritual weight, a gravitas, that is the most stabilizing force in the universe. When a young person faces a crisis, they panic because they have no reference point. They think it is the end of the world. But you have seen crises before. You have seen the storms rage, and you have seen them pass. You know the sun always returns. This knowing is not intellectual. It is cellular. It is spiritual. It is the peace that passes understanding because it is based on the evidence of a lifetime. This wisdom is your spiritual advantage. It is a light that you carry. Do not hide it under a bushel. Do not apologize for it. It is the very thing the world is starving for, even if it doesn't know it. In the book of Revelation, there are repeated promises given to him that overcometh. This is a key metaphysical term. To overcome means to rise above the law of cause and effect on the material plane. It means to face a difficulty and not be destroyed by it. Look at your life. Really look at it. You have been knocked down. You have been disappointed. You have stood at gravesides. You have faced financial worries. You have dealt with betrayals. You have felt physical pain. And yet, you are still here. Do you realize the spiritual power contained in that simple fact? You are an overcomer. You are a living demonstration of the resilience of the human spirit. In the mental realm, you have built up a vibration of survival. You have proved that the spirit is stronger than the circumstance. This makes you a powerhouse. In metaphysics, we teach that we are always broadcasting our consciousness. We are like radio stations, constantly sending out a signal based on what we are and what we have lived. A person who has never suffered broadcasts a signal of innocence, perhaps, but it is a weak signal. It has no range. But you broadcast a signal of triumph. You broadcast the frequency of endurance. When you walk into a room, even without saying a word, that signal touches the subconscious minds of everyone present. They feel safer when you are there. They feel a sense of perspective. They may not know why they like sitting near you, why they like holding your hand, but it is because your soul is whispering to their soul, I have survived the storm, and you will too. You are not a has-been. You are a veteran of the spiritual wars. You carry the medals of your experience in your aura. And just as a seasoned general is more valuable in the war room than 1,000 fresh recruits, you are indispensable to the spiritual functioning of your family and your community. We often fall into the trap of thinking that we must be doing something to be valuable. This is the Martha consciousness, busy, anxious, troubled about many things. But Jesus commended the Mary consciousness, the one who sat at his feet and absorbed the truth. At this stage of your divine unfolding, your work shifts from doing to being. Think of a lighthouse. A lighthouse is a very static thing. It does not run around the island looking for boats to save. It does not shout. It does not organize committees. It simply stands on the rock and shines. If the lighthouse decided to run down to the beach to be helpful, it would crash into the waves and be useless. Its value lies in its stability. Its value lies in the fact that it stays put and keeps the light burning. You are the lighthouse. Your job now is not to run around trying to fix the lives of your children or your neighbors. Your job is to stand on the rock of truth. Your job is to keep your own light, your own faith, your own peace burning brightly. When you maintain your peace, you save the ships around you from crashing on the rocks of despair. You guide them not by force, not by preaching, but by the silent power of your example. By staying calm when others are anxious, by staying faithful when others are cynical, you show them the way. This is the ministry of being. It is the highest form of service. It is the definition of the salt of the earth. Salt does nothing but sit in the food, yet it gives flavor to the whole dish. You are the salt. Without you, life would lose its savor. Now, we must address the one thing that blocks this power more than anything else. If you are to step into this high spiritual office of the wise elder and the lighthouse, you must travel light, and for many of you, the wagon is weighed down by the heavy stones of the past. The mind that looks backward is a mind that is dying. This is a harsh truth, but a necessary one. In the Bible, we have the story of Lot's wife. She was told to flee the city of destruction and not look back. But she disobeyed. She looked back, and she was turned into a pillar of salt. Metaphysically, salt represents preservation. To become a pillar of salt means to be frozen in a moment of time. When you look back at your past mistakes, your past glories, your lost opportunities, or your old grievances, you preserve them. You keep them alive in your subconscious mind. You freeze yourself in a state of regret. Regret is a form of spiritual suicide. Regret is saying, God could have done something then, but he cannot do it now. Regret denies the omnipotence of God in the present moment. You may be carrying bags of, if only I had taken that job, if only I hadn't said those words, if only I had spent more time with them, if only I had saved more money. These if-onlys are poison. They clog the channel of your life. They prevent the new good from flowing in. You cannot pour fresh wine into a cup that is already full of sour vinegar. You must empty the cup. How do we empty the cup? We use the mental acid that dissolves all chains, the law of forgiveness. At this stage of life, forgiveness is not an option. It is a necessity for survival. And the most important person you must forgive is yourself. You must forgive the you of yesterday. You must realize that the person you were 10, 20, or 40 years ago was doing the best they could with the understanding they had at that time. If you had known better, you would have done better. But you didn't know better then. You know better now, precisely because you went through that experience. To condemn yourself for a past mistake is illogical. It is like an adult condemning a toddler for falling down while learning to walk. You fell. You got bruised, but you got up. And now you know how to walk. You must also forgive others, not for their sake, but for yours. Every resentment you hold is a wire that connects you to the person you resent. Energy flows along that wire. Your energy. You are feeding them your life force. When you hold a grudge against someone from 30 years ago, you are keeping them alive in your mental house. You are letting them live rent free in your consciousness, eating your food and sleeping in your bed. You must cut the wire. You must say, I release you. I let you go. You are free, and I am free. God is between you and me. This clearing of the mental slate is not something you do once. It is a daily practice. As you sit in the quiet of your years, memories will surface. Some will be sweet, but some will be bitter. The tendency of the older mind is to chew on these bitter herbs. You must refuse to do this. When a negative memory arises, you must apply what we call the golden key. You must stop thinking about the problems, the memory, the regret, the hurt, and think about God instead. Replace the picture of the failure with the picture of God's perfection. Remind yourself, that old man, woman is dead. I am a new creation today. By refusing to dwell on the past, you break the law of crystallization. You stop the hardening of the arteries, not just the physical arteries, but the spiritual arteries. You remain fluid. You remain teachable. You remain alive. Think of your subconscious mind as a garden. For many years, you have been planting seeds in it, some good, some bad. The weeds of fear and the flowers of faith have grown together. Now, you have the time to be the master gardener. You have the time to weed the garden. You are no longer distracted by the hustle of the marketplace. You can sit in the silence and watch your thoughts. When a weed appears, a thought of, I am useless, I am lonely, I am sick, you can pull it out by the roots. You pull it out by denying it power. You say, this is not the truth about me. I am spirit. And you can plant new seeds. This is the great secret. The subconscious mind does not know how old you are. The subconscious mind creates whatever you impress upon it. If you impress upon it the idea of decay, it will produce decay in your body and affairs. But if you impress upon it the idea of renewal, service, and joy, it will begin to produce those conditions just as readily as it would for a teenager. You can plant a new crop today. You can start a new mental cause that will have a new physical effect. This brings us to the center of our realization, the eternal now. God is not in the past. God is not in the future. God is the I am. God is always in the present tense. When Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, he was speaking of the Christ Spirit within. That Spirit is in you right now. You are not a has-been, because God is never a has-been. God is always I's being. The life in your veins is God's life. It is fresh every morning. The sun that rose this morning is a new sun for a new day. The breath you are taking right now has never been breathed before. Your history is just a story written in a book. You can close the book. You can put it on the shelf. You are not the book. You are the reader. And you can pick up a pen and start writing a new page this very instant. Do not say, I am too old to change. That is a blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, which is the spirit of constant renewal. Nature renews itself every spring. Your body replaces its cells constantly. Why should your mind remain stuck in 1980 or 1990? You have the spiritual authority to declare a jubilee. In the Old Testament, the jubilee was a year when all debts were canceled, all slaves were freed, and the land was allowed to rest. Declare your jubilee. Cancel the debts you think you owe to the world. Cancel the debts you think the world owes you. Free the slaves of your regrets. Let your land rest. You have a place within you. Jesus called it the secret place, where the noise of the world cannot enter. As you get older, the door to this secret place becomes easier to find. The veil between the visible and the invisible grows thinner. This is not something to fear. It is a tremendous privilege. You are living closer to the source. You have better reception. You can hear the still small voice more clearly than those who are deafened by the roar of ambition. Use this advantage. Spend time in the silence, not just thinking, but listening. Communion with God is the ultimate rejuvenator. It is the fountain of youth that Ponce de Leon was looking for in Florida, but he looked in the wrong place. It is not on a map, it is in the soul. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. To wait upon the Lord means to silence the senses and rest in the consciousness of God's presence. When you do this, you are actually recharging your battery. You are drawing energy from the infinite. This is why many spiritual people seem to get more radiant as they get older. The skin may wrinkle, but the eyes shine with a light that is not of this world. That is the light of the secret place. So, here is your realization for this stage of your journey. You are not a fading echo of the past. You are a gathered force of wisdom. You are an overcomer who has earned the right to stand tall. You are a lighthouse whose primary duty is to shine the light of faith and stability. You are cleansing your vessel. You are throwing out the old furniture of regret and guilt. You are washing the windows of your soul with forgiveness so that the pure light of Spirit can stream through without obstruction. You are realizing that you are not your body, you are not your history, you are a living, breathing point of consciousness in the mind of God, and you are ready for the new thing that Spirit wishes to do in you. The vessel is being prepared. The slate is being wiped clean. The ground is being weeded. And why? Because the master planter has a new seed to sow. Do not think for one moment that the story is over. The plot is just thickening. The character, you, has just developed the depth necessary to carry the weight of glory that is coming. My friends, we now stand at the threshold of a new world. We have awakened to the truth that we are here by divine appointment. We have swept the mental house clean of the cobwebs of the past. The windows are open. The fresh air of Spirit is blowing through the corridors of the mind. Now comes the great question, the practical question. The question that separates the dreamer from the demonstrator. What are you going to do with this new life? In the study of scientific Christianity, we learn that faith without works is dead. This does not mean that you must earn your salvation by physical labor. It means that a change in consciousness must eventually result in a change of activity. If you truly believe that God is life, and that this life is flowing through you, you cannot remain in a rocking chair waiting for the end. You must move. You must build. You must express. You are the architect of your own future. Up until now, perhaps you have been building unconsciously, using the blueprints handed to you by society. Blueprints that said, at this age, you slow down, at this age, you stop, at this age, you fade away. But today, we tear up those old blueprints. We are drawing a new design inspired by the divine mind, a design of expansion, service, and joy. The first law we must activate in this new chapter is the law of expectancy. The Bible says, according to your faith be it done unto you. In modern psychological terms, we might say, according to your expectancy, it happens to you. The subconscious mind is a faithful servant. It does not argue, it delivers. If you expect decline, it will hasten every biological process to give you exactly what you ordered. If you expect loneliness, it will create an atmosphere around you that repels people. But the reverse is gloriously true. If you begin to expect new good, the subconscious mind will reorganize your life to bring it to pass. You must wake up in the morning with a sense of anticipation. You must cultivate the feeling that something wonderful is about to happen. You might say, but Emmet, I'm old. What can happen? Everything can happen! God is the great innovator. Do you think the infinite intelligence has run out of ideas? Do you think the creator of the galaxies has exhausted his repertoire? Of course not. The limitation is never in the principle. The limitation is only in our receptivity. You must begin to treat yourself for expectancy. You must deliberately practice looking forward. Stop looking at the sunset, look for the sunrise. The sun sets only to rise on a new horizon. I want to call your attention to a magnificent character in the Old Testament, Caleb. When the children of Israel were dividing the promised land, Caleb stepped forward. He was not a young man. The scripture tells us he was 85 years old. By the standards of the world, he should have been asking for a quiet tent in the valley, a place to rest, a place to be taken care of. But what did Caleb say? He stood before Joshua and said, I am as strong this day as I was in the day that Moses sent me, as my strength was then. Even so is my strength now. Now therefore give me this mountain. He didn't ask for the easy land. He asked for the mountain. He asked for the challenge. He asked for the place where the giants, the Anakim, were living, because he knew that with God he could drive them out. This is the spirit you must adopt, the Caleb spirit. Do not ask for a life of ease. A life of total ease is a life of decay. The muscles of the body atrophy without resistance. The muscles of the soul atrophy without a project. Ask for a mountain. What is your mountain? Is it learning a new language? Is it writing your memoirs? Is it starting a prayer group? Is it reconciling a broken family? Is it mastering a musical instrument? Is it cultivating a garden that feeds the neighborhood? Do not be afraid of the difficulty. The difficulty is the very thing that will keep you young. When you tackle a new problem, whether it is learning how to use a computer or learning how to paint with watercolors, you are forcing your brain to create new neural pathways. You are forcing the life force to circulate. You are saying to God, I am still in the game. Send me the power. And God always answers that prayer. The scientific fact of renewal, let us look at this from a scientific standpoint. We know that the body is constantly renewing itself. The cells of your skin, your blood, your bones are being replaced. You do not have the same physical body you had 10 years ago. It has been completely rebuilt. Why, then, does it look older? Why does it manifest the signs of age? It is because the mind, the builder, has been holding the picture of age before it. The cells are intelligent. They follow the pattern held in the subconscious. If the subconscious holds a picture of old age, the new cells will arrange themselves to fit that picture. They are like bricks being laid by a mason. If the mason follows a crooked blueprint, the wall will be crooked. Even if the bricks are new, you must change the blueprint. You must hold the picture of vitality. You must stop talking about your aches and pains. You must stop identifying with the calendar. When someone asks, "How are you?" do not give them a medical report. Do not recite a litany of symptoms. That is a misuse of the law of the word. When you say, "I am tired," "I am forgetting things," you are writing instructions for your subconscious mind to execute. Instead say, "I am keeping on. I am sustained by spirit. God is my strength." This is not lying. This is stating the spiritual truth in the face of the material appearance. This is what Jesus meant when he said, "Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment." Righteous judgment is seeing the perfection of God underlying the human limitation. Had the ministry of the hobby now, let us get very practical. To keep the flow of life moving, you must have an outlet. The Sea of Galilee is fresh and alive because it has an inlet and an outlet. The Dead Sea is dead because it has an inlet but no outlet. It keeps everything and gives nothing. You must have an outlet for your creative energy. We often call this a hobby, but that word is too small. It is a creative channel. It does not matter what the channel is. It matters only that you love it. Love is the lubricant of life. When you are doing something you love, you lose track of time. You step out of Chronos, clock time, and into Kairos, God's time. Perhaps you have always wanted to paint. Do not say it is too late. Grandma Moses started painting in her 70s and became world famous. The point is the joy of creation. Perhaps you love to read. Then do not just read passively. Read to learn. Make yourself an expert on a subject. Study history, study biography, study metaphysics. Keep the mind expanding. The expanding mind cannot shrink. It cannot become senile. Senility is often just the result of a mind that is resigned, a mind that has closed up shop. Keep the shop open. Put a sign in the window of your soul. Business as usual, under new management, the Christ mind. There is another career open to you, one of the highest dignity and power. It is the career of the spiritual powerhouse. In every city there is a power station. It is usually a quiet building, tucked away, humming silently. It doesn't draw attention to itself like the neon signs it powers. But if that station were to shut down, the whole city would go dark. You can be that power station for your family and your community. The world is full of people who are running on empty. They are stressed, anxious, frightened, and confused. They do not know how to pray. They do not know how to align themselves with divine power. You have the time. You have the solitude. You have the understanding. You can become a professional prayer. I do not mean reciting words by rote. I mean sitting in your chair, closing your eyes, and deliberately treating your list of people for success, health, and peace. Take your grandchildren. Don't just worry about them. Worry is negative prayer. It is visualizing what you don't want. Instead, visualize them happy, successful, and divinely guided. Affirm for them, God is your intelligence. God is your protection. You are surrounded by divine love. Take your city. Treat the leaders. Treat the schools. Treat the hospitals. Send out waves of peace. You may be sitting alone in a room, and the world may think you are doing nothing. But in the realm of truth, you are generating a high-voltage spiritual current that is healing the sick, opening doors for the unemployed, and protecting the innocent. This is a full-time job. It is the most important job on earth, and you are uniquely qualified for it, because you have stepped off the treadmill. You have the stillness required to tune into the infinite. The ego wants a map. The ego wants to know exactly how the remaining years will play out. It wants guarantees. It wants to know who will take care of you, how the money will last, how the health will hold up. But the spirit does not give maps. The spirit gives a lantern. The lantern only illuminates the step you are on. And the spiritual law is this: you do not get the light for the second step until you have taken the first. Many of you are waiting for security before you start living. You are waiting to feel safe. But safety does not come from hoarding. Safety comes from flowing. If you have an impulse to call an old friend, that is the first step. Take it. If you have an impulse to join a class, take it. If you have an impulse to give a gift, give it. Do not worry about where it will lead. The act of obedience releases the next instruction. God leads us by the logic of the heart, which is often different from the logic of the head. You might feel a nudge to go to a certain coffee shop. Your head says, "Why bother? Coffee is cheaper at home." But your heart says, "Go." You go, and there you meet someone who needs a kind word, or you see a flyer for a group that changes your life. That is how the divine design weaves its pattern. You must trust the nudge. The nudge is the voice of God. Now we must face the giant that lurks in the background of the older mind, the fear of death. We cannot demonstrate life if we are secretly terrified of death. In truth, there is no death. There is only a change of frequency. There is only a moving from one room in God's mansion to another. When you understand this, not just intellectually, but deep in your feeling nature, you lose the sense of running out of time. You are an eternal being. You have always existed in the mind of God, and you always will. When you lose the fear of the end, you gain the joy of the now. You stop clutching. You stop hoarding. You become a spendthrift of love, a spendthrift of kindness. You realize that you are here to play a role, and when the curtain falls on this act, it is only to rise on the next, more glorious act. But the play is not over yet. You are still on stage, and the director expects you to deliver your lines with conviction until the very last moment. Do not walk off the stage while the spotlight is still on you. Live fully right up to the transition. Let your transition be a graduation, not a fading away. Now, I want to give you a specific form of prayer, a scientific treatment that you can use every day to anchor this new consciousness. Find a quiet place, sit comfortably, relax your body, let go of the tension in your shoulders, your hands, your face. Turn your attention away from the body and toward the presence of God within. Read these words or speak them softly to yourself. Let them sink deep into your subconscious mind. I am now entering the Holy of Holies. I close the door of my senses to the outer world. I turn my back on the past. I close the book on yesterday's sorrows, yesterday's mistakes, and yesterday's limitations. I stand in the eternal now. God is life, and that life is my life. It is not a past life, it is a present life. It flows through me now as a river of peace, power, and vitality. There is no age in spirit. God does not know time. The spirit within me is birthless, deathless, and ageless. I deny the power of the calendar to limit me. I deny the collective belief in decay. I am renewed by the renewing of my mind. I am needed. I am valuable. I am part of the divine plan. There is a work for me to do that no one else can do. My specific vibration is essential to the harmony of the universe. I claim my Caleb spirit. I ask for my mountain. I am willing to learn. I am willing to grow. I am willing to love more deeply than ever before. I forgive everyone. I forgive myself. I am free from the burden of resentment. I am light. I am clear. I open myself to new channels of expression. I expect the unexpected. I anticipate good news. I anticipate new friendships. I anticipate new opportunities to serve. I am a lighthouse. I stand firm on the rock of truth. I shine the light of faith for my family, my community, and the world. My presence is a healing presence. My words are words of wisdom and comfort. I walk by faith, not by sight. I trust the light to guide my feet one step at a time. I am safe. I am secure. I am sustained by the infinite resources of the divine mind. The best is yet to be. I am God's child, and I am loved with an everlasting love. It is done. It is so, and so it is. To seal this demonstration, I challenge you to a 7-day experiment. We must ground the electricity of truth in the earth of action. Day 1. Make a list of 3 things you have always wanted to learn or do, no matter how small. Pick one. Take the first step today, buy the book. Make the call, watch the video. Day 20. Reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in a long time. Not to complain, but to bless. Tell them you are thinking of them and wishing them well. Be the initiator of love. Day 30. Forgive one old grievance. Write it on a piece of paper, then burn the paper safely. As it burns, say, I release you to God. Feel the weight lift. Day 40. Change your routine. Walk a different route. Eat a different food. Sit in a different chair. Signal to your brain that you are not in a rut, but in a groove of newness. Day 50. Bless a stranger. It can be a mental blessing, God bless you, or a physical act of kindness. Break the shell of isolation. Day 60, spend 30 minutes in pure silence. No TV, no radio, no reading. Just you in the presence. Practice waiting on the Lord. Day 70, write a letter to God. Thank Him for your life so far, and thank Him in advance for the wonders of the chapter that is just beginning. Sign it with your full name and the date. This is your contract of renewal. In the story of the wedding at Cana, the first miracle Jesus performed was turning water into wine. When the master of the feast tasted the wine, he was astonished. He said to the bridegroom, "Every man at the beginning sets forth good wine, and when men have well drunk, then that which is worse, but thou hast kept the good wine until now." This is the promise of the Christ consciousness to you. The world gives its best wine first, the energy of youth, the physical beauty, the excitement of the early years. And then the world says the wine runs out and you are left with the dregs. But with God, the order is reversed. God keeps the good wine until now. The wine of the later years is richer. It is deeper. It has more body, more flavor, more complexity. It is the wine of wisdom, of peace, of refined love. It is the wine of a soul that has been seasoned by the sun and the rain and has come to maturity. Do not envy the grape juice of youth. You have the wine of maturity. Drink it with gratitude. Share it with others. You are not finished. You are just coming into your true flavor. So, lift up your head. Straighten your spine. Put a smile on your face, not a fake smile, but a smile that rises from the knowledge of the truth. You are a divine adventurer on an eternal journey. The scenery is changing, yes, but the traveler is the same, and the guide is the same. The sun is shining on your path. The angels are encamped around you. The Spirit is within you, urging you forward. Step out, step up, live now. God bless you all.